Well, welcome back, everybody, to Worker2Worker presents Individuals Intent to Remain Employed at DCF. And while you're all logging on and getting settled, allow me to reintroduce our team of peer support specialists. Hi, Kamara, Gail Chong Barber, Denise Smith, Kathy Need, Phyllis Isaac, and program coordinator and your host today, Khadija Villafana. For today's lesson, we'll be going over the benefits of improving employee retention using information from the Thunderbird School of Global Management at Arizona State University. A deeper look at the benefits of improving employee retention. Employee retention is a critical aspect of running a successful business and a frequent topic of conversation in today's tumultuous environment. High turnover rates can be costly and disruptive to the overall productivity and morale of an organization. The inability to keep talent also reduces the agency's competitive edge. While attracting new talent is important, keeping talent is mission critical. To create compelling and effective employee retention strategies, you first need to understand why employees choose to stay and remain loyal to their organizations. Prioritizing employee retention allows business to create a loyal and skilled workforce, promote a positive work culture, drive long-term success. Some widely recognized benefits that come from improving employee retention rates are improved team cohesion, positive agency culture, cost savings, and elevated productivity. So let's take a deeper look. Improved team cohesion. High employee retention creates a sense of camaraderie and trust among team members. When individuals work together for an extended period, they develop strong work relationships. Additionally, this level of cohesion leads to effective collaboration, improved teamwork, and overall performance. With positive agency culture, with consistently losing coworkers to turnover, this can create uncertainty and anxiety in a workforce. However, when workers feel valued, supported, and satisfied in their roles, it creates a positive work environment. And then cost savings. Retaining employees reduce the recruitment and training costs associated with constantly hiring and onboarding new staff members. It also reduces the loss of productivity that occurs while new employees adjust to their new roles. And elevated productivity. Employees who have been with an agency for a significant period of time are more likely to be familiar with their roles and responsibilities. They require less time to adjust to their tasks, resulting in increased productivity and reduced training time. So let's get into 10 reasons why employees stay in an agency. It may be easier to understand why employees leave agencies than why others decide to stay. Although some of the reasons employees opt to stay may be less obvious, it's just as important to understand them. Key reasons employees decide to stick it out for the long run instead of searching for new opportunities are as follows. So, competitive compensation and benefits. That's always the number one thing, right? What kind of benefits are we going to get? Is it going to be, a salary that, I can grow with, right? Which leads to our next growth and development opportunities. workplace recognition, work-life balance, meaningful and challenging work, work that goes exactly with what we've been trained to do and where our passions lie. Job security, commitment to transparency, strong community values and culture, supportive leadership, and supportive colleagues. Let's break it down a little bit. With competitive compensation and benefits, right? So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, right, we're kind of looking for, our fair wages and competitive compensation packages, including salary, bonuses, and benefits. And these play a crucial role in employee retention. When employees feel adequately rewarded for their contributions, they're less likely to seek opportunities elsewhere. They are also less likely to take the bait from recruiters proactively reaching out to talent. Growth and development opportunities. Employees find value in having opportunities for career growth and professional development. Agencies that invest in their employees' growth through training programs, mentorship, advancement opportunities create a conducive environment for employee retention. Also, recognizing and approaching employees' efforts and achievements can significantly influence satisfaction and loyalty. So, providing their regular feedback, rewards, and recognition programs are all strategies to help workers feel seen in the workplace. These types of efforts can create a more positive work environment and promote greater employee retention. And of course, one of my favorites, work-life balance, right? So maintaining a healthy work-life balance is a priority for most employees. Organizations that offer flexible work arrangements, promote work-life balance initiatives, and prioritize employee well-being are more likely to retain their workforce. Meaningful and challenging work. Employees are more likely to stay with an organization that they are engaged in challenging and meaningful work that aligns with their skills and interests. When employees find their work fulfilling, they're more motivated to stay and contribute to the organization's success. Job security. In a time when mass layoffs may be in the news, employees especially value job security and stability. Organizations that provide a stable work environment, demonstrate financial stability, and offer long-term career prospects tend to retain their employees. One of my other favorites, commitment to transparency. When employees feel that they can trust the agency's leadership and have access to open and honest communication, they're more likely to stay and commit to the organization. To stay committed to the organization, this makes establishing trust and fostering transparency or transparent communication significant for improving employee retention. Strong company values and culture. Employees tend to prefer working for an organization that is aligned with their own values. Additionally, organizations that have a strong positive culture and promote inclusivity, diversity, and ethical practices tend to better retain their employees. Supportive leadership. Effective leadership and supportive management are vital in retaining employees. When employees feel heard, valued, and supported by their supervisors, they're more likely to remain loyal to the organization. When they feel disconnected from leadership and the direction of the agency, they are less engaged and more likely to seek new opportunities. And supportive colleagues. So Positive relationships with colleagues and a supportive team environment contributes to employee satisfaction and retention. Organizations that focus on encouraging collaboration and teamwork create a sense of belonging that encourages employees to stay longer and engage more with the work. Right. And so, 5 approaches to help improve employee retention, right? There are simple and effective strategies that can improve employee retention within an organization. By leveraging these easily implemented approaches, you can enhance job satisfaction, boost employee engagement, and ultimately reduce turnover. So let's get into those 5 approaches. So, offering competitive compensation and benefits, that's always for some reason number one. But it's also important, and we'll get into why. Prioritizing employee engagement, fostering a positive work culture, create programs to recognize employee achievements, and offer growth and development opportunities. Now, let's hear from you. Follow the instructions on your screen to complete the poll. And so before we get into these 5 approaches, I'd like to reintroduce again one of our peer support specialists, Phyllis Isaac.
Thanks, Khadijah. Good morning, DCP&P pairs. My name is Phyllis Isaac, and I retired from DCP&P in 2022 and joined Worker2Worker in March of 2024. When I left, I knew it was my desire to return and be a support to the DCP&P family. Once you have worked for DCP&P, you are a part of the family forever. But sometimes the work gets difficult, and you might ask yourself, why stay? Why stay? Well, I'm going to share with you a little bit about my journey. But at the end of the day, the pros must outweigh the cons with pros in your favor. And I hope that they do and that you will be able to stay and make a career. The families and children that we, and I say we because I said we're always a part of the family, serve are often invisible to the rest of the world. Everyone, everyone needs to be seen, and everyone needs to be heard. As I said, it was almost 33 years when I left state service. As my career path unfolded, yes, there were highs and lows. But I can tell you the truth, before the ink even dried on my first paycheck, I knew that I was destined to work with children and families. Not the agency, not the state, but children and families. And then the state of New Jersey, DCP&P, is where I landed. And it turned out that after 33 years of state service, I would have spent 2/3 of that time working for DCP&P. It was DIFAS at the time that I began, and 1/3 of that time working with DDD. Both of these avenues put me in the midst of working with families who had children. The 1/3 was family working with children who had adult children, actually, who had survived and were living with developmental disabilities. But the 2/3 was with DCP&P. And doing those very, very long years, 33 years, as I said before, there are highs and lows. But there's an old spiritual song that I'm not going to sing because you would turn the camera off right away. But it says, my good days outweigh my bad days, so I won't complain. And that's how I feel about my time in state service. Although there were good and bad days, as I departed, And I looked back and I reflect now. The good days definitely outweighed the bad days because I was doing what I had a heart to do, and that was to serve children and families. Work life balance was critical in order for me to stay. So in a season when, I would be questioning is my work life balance okay? If I was getting frustrated and feeling like I was having more bad days, I would ask myself some question. And my self-talk sort of went like this. I would question, am I living to work or working to live? It was always my personal desire, not that I was living to work, but I was working to live the life that I desired. And hopefully that is where you find yourself at the end of the day. And as we shifted to working from home working in the office full time during the COVID-19 epidemic, and then returning to a hybrid schedule, I again had to look at my work life balance. Because when we started initially, it didn't feel like I was working from home. It felt like I was living at work, and that was not going to work for me. And I know currently, in most of your cases, you still work a hybrid schedule, and you have to be creative. You have to balance. You have to have time to do your work at home. And when you are doing it, you do not feel like you are living at work, but indeed that you are working from home. Very, very important to having that work life balance. And simple shifts make significant differences in how you experience your work life balance. And it will considerably contribute to your decision making to remain employed with the same company or seek greener pastures, right? We know that saying, right? There's greener pastures on the other side. But I promise you, wherever you work, wherever you spend your time during your career, there will always be highs and lows. And having that work life balance so that you can remain with a company such as DCPMP, which has great benefits, will depend on you driving that work life balance. And there will be times when you will have to make critical shifts in order for that to work. When I needed to make a shift, and there were several times during my career, it never meant I needed to give up my professional goal to retire from state employment. That was something that I early on recognized. I saw the benefits of that. When I first started, I did not have a family. It was just me. Later on, I went on to have a child, and I was a single mom. And at that time, it was time for a critical shift. Your critical shifts may be related to your family expanding, it may be related to your personal goals. Critical shifts are defined by what is going on in our lives, both professionally and personally. There may be a time when you want to swiftly move up the career ladder, or you choose to stay in a job that is working because the schedule works for you. A second time, when I knew I needed to make a critical shift, is when I recognized that things were changing in state service. There was a time when having a bachelor's degree was truly all you needed if you really wanted to move up the professional ladder. But as I watched and I saw things change, I knew getting my master's degree was something that I wanted to pursue. Well, going back to school was not something easy, but I decided I wanted to do it. So I began taking master's degree classes, and then I decided to matriculate. I was always watching for training opportunities that the state offered. And thank goodness, during my career, there was an opportunity that I could go to school, get my master's degree, and the state would pay for it. It meant a shift. It meant that I would have to agree to work day for day that they allowed me to go to school after I finished my degree. So it was going to take 2.5 to 3 years. When I finished that, I would have to work minimally 2.5 to 3 years for the state of New Jersey, or that bill would come to me. Well, I knew I hoped to have a career, so that was a shift that was easy to make. And it was actually during that same shift that I became a mom for the first time. So it all worked out in my favor. But there were some moments. Actually, when I was on educational leave and getting paid, because that's what it was, I got a call about one of my older cases. They found someone making a report and saying I hadn't done something earlier on in my career. But I said, just read my contact sheets. It's there. I'm sure you'll find that, yes, it was reported to me, and yes, I reported it. It was a critical incident with a young child. And they said, Miss Isaac, we're going to go back, and if we need you, we'll give you a call. So they did. They went back, they looked at my notes, and they found what they needed. What you document will always be critical. So do it well. I got my master's degree. And when I returned, I said, okay, now it's ready to take the next step. I was very content being a field worker. I liked the idea of controlling, to a certain extent, my own work and not being responsible for anybody else's. But once I got my degree, I knew it was time for another critical shift. And that meant applying for opportunities to be a supervisor. And for me, it quickly led to leaving the office that I had started in and going to another office, leaving people that I held dear. My best friend to this day is a woman that I met in the first office that I worked in. Critical shifts. If you decide you want to move on, you have to know what you want to do. And it may mean separating physically, right? We're not working in the same office. But if you establish friendships in your career, there are people that you will hold dear forever. But it is up to you. You have the power to define your yellow brick road. There are so many opportunities in state employment that offer competitive compensation benefits with tremendous professional growth opportunities. It is my firm belief that you do not grow professionally without growing personally, and you do not grow likewise personally without growing professionally. Brick by brick, block by block, you build your professional yellow brick road that will bring you professional growth, challenge, and joy. You are in the driver's seat. What does meaningful and challenging work look like to you? What will be on the path of your yellow brick road? You build your resume, no one else. So do not give up that power. If there's a position that you think you would like to achieve and move into, take the opportunity to speak to someone who's holding that position. If you're concerned about it being someone in your office, speak to a friend perhaps that works in another office. Hey, can I speak to a casework supervisor? Can I speak to an adoption supervisor? Can I speak to the case practice specialist? And even be bold enough to sit down and ask, can you talk to a manager? Ask them what it took to get there. Your path won't be the same as theirs, but they could definitely shed light on some things that might benefit you on the road to success. I have to say this before I close. I see DCP&P workers right from clerical AFSWs, caseworkers, supervisors, everyone as superheroes. Because as I said when I began, the population that you are involved in servicing is invisible to many people. You don't hear most people talking about our work until it hits the headlines. So you are a superhero, and I salute you for that. But I have to remind you that even superheroes take off their capes. I remember when I was growing up, Batman, Superman, all of these superheroes, but they didn't stay in their gear 24/7. Worker to worker, we want to be there for the times when you need to take off your cape. Please do not forget to call us. Please do not forget to schedule time for you. Yes, there will be challenging days. There will be days when you are literally saving a child's life, saving a family, and you will have to wear your cape and be a superhero. That should not be every single day that you work. So I'm encouraging you, don't forget to take off your cape and take care of yourself. Be a superhero when you have to, but the rest of the time, just be you and be good to yourself. And then you will be able to answer the question, why should I stay? What are the benefits? Good luck. Good luck in your career.
And thank you, Phyllis. So let's get into the five benefits, right? So offering competitive compensation and benefits, regularly review and adjust compensation packages to ensure that they remain competitive within the industry and your location. Provide comprehensive benefit packages that address employees' needs, such as health insurance, retirement plans, and flexible scheduling options. Prioritizing employee engagement, right? Actively involve employees in decision-making processes whenever possible. Seek input, listen to feedback, and provide opportunities for them to contribute to internal conversations about the agency's goals and initiatives. Engaged employees are more likely to feel valued and remain loyal to their organization. Offer growth and development opportunities. Implement training programs, mentorship initiatives, and career advancement paths to help employees advance their skills and progress within the organization. Showing a commitment to investing in their professional growth as well. This can be achieved through offering tuition assistance, stretch projects, training, workshops, and conferences. Foster a positive work culture. Create a positive and inclusive work culture by promoting teamwork, respect, and collaboration. Encourage work-life balance by offering flexible schedules, opportunities, and supporting employees' well-being initiative. Make sure that these efforts are applied across the organization and that it's not something just talked about, but is truly implemented and supported by management. Create programs to recognize employee achievements. Implement recognition programs that acknowledge and appreciate employees' hard work, contributions, and their achievements. So recognize both individual and team accomplishments to foster greater culture and appreciation and motivation, right? This can take the form of official kudos, verbal praise, rewards, and incentives. And so we have now come to the end of our, second webinar. And I'd like to invite you to connect with us or stay connected with us, right? And we have our QR code that you can scan. And we have our phone number, our email address, as well as our website, all ways that you can remain connected with us for additional support. And we're here. So again, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again soon.